One day, when Moses had grown up, he went out to his people and he looked upon their burdens. Let's go to Exodus chapter 3 and verse 4. When the Lord saw that he turned aside to see, God called to Moses out of the bush, "Moses! Moses!" And Moses said, "Here I am." Let's go to chapter 4. Just one verse. Verse 17. Exodus chapter 4 and verse 17. This is God speaking. "Take in your hand this rod, with which you shall do great things for me. Take in your hand this staff, with which you shall carry the very signs of who I am." All right, let's turn next to chapter 6. One verse again. Now remember, God had now called Moses and he said yes, and he suddenly was faced with the reality that he had to deal with Pharaoh. And Moses, like you and me, felt very unqualified for the job. In fact, I'm going to submit to you, he probably had more jitterbugs than all of us combined. Have you ever felt nervous when someone said, "Why don't you go and invite someone to come and to hear about the hope that we have in Christ?" Have you ever felt nervous when someone said, "Why don't you go and tell someone about Jesus?" Now, I don't mind half as much going to invite someone to go to a ball game. But boy, those jitterbugs can come when you go and tell someone about Jesus. But I'm just going to tell you, in case any of you are a little nervous, Pharaoh had the power to lop his head off. All people can say to us today is, "No, I don't want to." And so we get to verse 30 of chapter 6. "But Moses said to the Lord, Behold, I am of uncircumcised lips. How in the world will Pharaoh listen to me?" Let's go to chapter 8. Chapter 8, love this verse, chapter 8 and verse 30. Chapter 8 and verse 30. "So Moses went out from Pharaoh." You're not going to believe this. I better read it. "So Moses went out from Pharaoh, and what did he do? Someone tell me. What did he do? He prayed to the Lord." One more verse. Chapter 14. Chapter 14 and verse 31. Chapter 14 and verse 31. I've had to put a circle around all these verses so I could get there quickly. Chapter 14 and verse 31. "Israel saw the great power that the Lord used against the Egyptians. So the people feared the Lord, and they believed in the Lord and in his servant Moses." May the Lord write this word upon our hearts. Please be seated. You know, when you study history, it's amazing how just one person can lead an entire nation. I hate to bring this up to you, but do any of you remember Adolf Hitler? You might have read about him. Just one man. Do you know that he was just a lowly corporal coming out of World War I? He was really a nobody. And within a very short space of time, he led an entire nation, and we know what the history books tell us. Ever heard about Napoleon Bonaparte? You know, about 1800, 1806, 1815, of course, he met his Waterloo, and Nelson took care of him, and he was banished to the island of Elba and all the rest of it, but he was just one man. Do you remember Saddam Hussein? Just one man. But you know something, folks, if you go and you look at what one person does, you know, I'm so grateful in our nation. You know, I think of all the great people and the heroes, what one person can do.